Hey, what's up, YouTube fans? So what I wanted to talk about in this video, right, is one of the stupidest talking points parroted so often by creationists, um, which is where they'll say, we've never observed a kind change into a new kind, and they'll often even go so far as to redefine evolution or macroevolution as referring to a kind changing into a new kind. But see, the thing is, that's not what evolution or macroevolution refers to. And kinds are their concept. We don't agree that there are a such thing as kinds. Kinds, quote unquote, are a made up creationist concept based on the Bible. There's no evidence that animals are grouped into these so-called kinds, and they don't even like to begin with. There's no evidence to begin with that living things are even grouped within these so-called kinds, and they don't even have a clear idea as to what constitutes a so-called kind. Like, how do we determine what kind, quote unquote, something is in? They don't even have wide agreement amongst themselves. There's plenty of examples where some of them will think living things are in the same kind, and then other ones of them will think that they're not, right? And so they don't even have a clear idea as to how we delineate what even constitutes a kind, right? How do we distinguish between what's in what so-called kind, right? And it's not even a concept accepted by mainstream scientists, right? But they will try and redefine evolution or macroevolution as referring to a kind changing into a new kind. And they will try to use that as their whole basis for denying evolution or denying macroevolution. And in reality, what evolution refers to by definition is things that most creationists acknowledge are real processes. They just don't like to call them evolution. And even what's macroevolution by definition is accepted by many, if not most, creationists, even though they don't like to call it macroevolution. Many, if not most, of the major creationist organizations like Answers in Genesis agree with what's by definition macroevolution, even though they don't want to call it that, because they allow for typically up to the taxonomic family level that everything within that group can all be related. They allow for groups as large as hundreds of species to all be related. That's macroevolution by definition, but they will still try to cling to the idea that evolution, or at least macroevolution, is not proven. And their basis for this will tend to be that they say that there's no proof of a kind changing into a new kind. But it's like, no one ever said a kind changed into a new kind. Kinds are your guys' concept. There's no such thing as kinds, right? That's a made-up concept based on the Bible. We don't agree that there is a such thing as kinds, right, to begin with, right? And so it's completely ridiculous for them to attempt to redefine evolution or macroevolution as being centered around their made-up concept of kinds, right? It's really idiotic and clueless. All right, that's all for now. See you guys.